I don't know what's
I'm gonna
gonna.
log on right now.
I mean, take your time.
Are you live?
I'd like to be live, but there's no way to be sure until other people are here. Obviously.
Oh, okay, I'm coming.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay, we're live. I love you all. I'll be right there.
Okay. So it's really funny. As I was doing this, I got like hit with the automatic retweets. And hello, everybody. Hopefully, you're watching us on Twitter. You're watching us on Alyssa's Twitter. You're watching us on YouTube. And I look just vaguely pasty. Got to work on that. But as I was doing it, I got like auto added to some Twitter space bot aggregator that was like specializing in the Black community. And so it was, there's an account on Twitter called Black Spaces. And I guess maybe the algorithm just detects my skin tone or I'm on a list or something. And so, like, maybe it's a Black space. It will be until my guest gets here anyway. And then it'll be like a biracial space. It'll be a space that has a biblical name as a compromise. It'll be one of those kind of spaces. It'll be a space with a Jewish name. We've got a big night tonight. So if you're coming in, you're going to be dropping in organically via Twitter Spaces. And I'm really excited to be here hanging out with you. You can pop in on Twitter Spaces and take the mic, take the floor, and just do your own thing as much as you want. And when my guest gets here, and that's Alissa, we will run through some of the weird news stories of the week. Some of these are like real news stories that have real political relevance to what's going to happen to us in our lives. And some of these stories are just going to be really fucked up and weird. So I hope that you enjoy it either way. And obviously, obviously we're going to have a good time. And obviously, if you want the microphone, feel free to pop into the Twitter space and make 7 Up yours, make it yours. I don't know. I'm going to, and this is so sloppy. I apologize, everybody. I'm going to get my microphone, my good microphone, and put it in here. All right, excellent. And I've got to have my own story. Let's talk about crypto land. Because look, you don't want to sit here and listen to me waiting for Alissa for the next hour and a half. Crypto land is this weird, funky NFT thing. Alissa, I'm looking at Alissa and she's like in the dugout right now. And it looks like, because it's midnight my time and it's 9 p.m. her time, and it looks like, in fact, I'll let y'all see for yourselves. Alissa, do you want to be on camera for a minute? Okay, I'm going to bring her up here. Alissa, it looks like you're in the Blair Witch Project. It looks like you see dead people. I wasn't sure whether this was going to qualify as a Black space, but now that there's a literal Black space, we should just pump you up. Pump up the volume right here. Anyway, if y'all have not seen, here we go. What's up?
Hey, so Alyssa's having a little bit of technical difficulties right now.
We're all doing technical difficulty stuff right now, and I think that that's normal and okay and good.
So do I still look like the Blair Witch Project if I...
Yes, you definitely look like you're running from a slasher.
Maybe
like 1,000%.
Okay, so like my camera that's supposed to give me light is like
But listen, if you're really at peace, we can say that you're like doing witchcraft or something out there.
I mean, how do you know I'm not?
Dun dun dun. Yeah, I don't know. Listen, I want to tell you about this. there's an NFT project. First of all, do you basically know what NFTs are and how they work, right?
A little bit. So my imagination of them is like fancy copywriting for memes.
I can't tell you like how off the chain this is. I'm a little bit worried that we're gonna get copyright struck if I play too much of their video. But it's an island. There's an island called Cryptoland, and they're selling basically NFTs that are tied to a private island in Fiji. But it turns out, and by the way, this the trailer for this concept, it's like a CGI video. It's like a Pixar animation, and they've got a giant coin that's doing basically a Robin Williams impersonation and being like the quirky pal that's leading them through the private crypto island. So every like space on this private crypto resort has its own weird ass little inside joke.
Like theme? Oh, joke.
Yeah, I mean like the crypto restaurant, the crypto palace, you know.
Right. Well, so there's a hotel in San Luis Obispo, so that's somewhere in California. It's called the like Mount Madonna Inn, and every room has its own weird theme. And it's all like hella tacky, but like weird boutique. So like they have like a room that's entirely pink, but so I think I get what you're talking about.
And it's a mess. And basically it's a huge scandal because first of all, they've been selling this for like American expats that want to leave the country, but it turns out it's against the law to be an American citizen and like buy stock in that island. So like when you sign the contract, American citizens aren't legally allowed to buy anything from this project.
That's funny. I mean, part of me is like, right on, I want to go.
Yeah, it's a hilarious situation. The animation. Oh, I wish I could show you the animation.
You can't show any of it, or
let's show some of it because
Okay.
what are they gonna do? What are they gonna do? They're gonna sue us. What's the worst they can do? So I'm gonna let me see if I can play this. This is from a reaction vid, so we're gonna get the cringe of, you know, it being some other guy. That's something. But let's do this.
You goofball. I'm not gonna tell you where.
Sir,
God, this
the
is
Lambo's
embarrassing.
ready.
Holy shit.
What?
The room, not the moon. Entering Blackstone Hill.
Hey, what's that?
The Vladimir.
No, this is a real project. This is an actual project. Cryptoland is a real thing. Like, they have their own white paper and everything. A glimpse into the future we all deserve.
Speak for yourself, buddy. I don't deserve this shit.
Yeah,
Oh,
like
sure.
what the
Some
fuck?
other
This is a
weirdo's
better
idea.
explanation than I provided. It's a project headed by cryptocurrency enthusiasts to purchase an existing Fijian island and develop it into a haven for fellow cryptocurrency enthusiasts.
Fucking colonizing
Oh my
bitches.
God.
In this video, guys, I'm buying a real piece of land in crypto paradise on Fiji.
Shameless.
And part of the
Fucking
problem is
shameless.
like
Yeah.
he just
There's no
doesn't
dislikes
own
now,
that
so it must be
land.
good.
They like looked
Is
it
it
up.
real though? No, man, it's a fucking scam. What do you mean? Is it real? Here, I'll just keep letting the announcement play. Whoops.
Yeah, you're supposed to play this.
Wow!
Damn, this place
Oh,
looks
wow.
sick.
Dope for vacations, but now
Yo,
that I'm
Bored
here-
Apes.
Folks approach me saying,
I can't tell if he's
"We need
joking.
somewhere where we can be programming surrounded by palm trees and views to open sea." They were sick of working.
This is
with
a
tiny
great
offices.
mascot. He's like
Why
a
do that
Clippy.
when they can work from
No,
paradise?
it's not.
So
I
we built
disagree.
it. Come on in.
But all he can do is like.
People are picking up their
The
Vomit
coin is
balloons.
crypto clippy. And that's very
Hey, he's
true.
having so much
Just wait
fun.
until you see
I
what's
feel
next.
like Microsoft
Yeah.
haven't worked with them,
The
but I don't
crypto
care
restaurant.
about.
I would love to sit and watch this thing the whole day, but like
Really?
for people who are on Twitter Spaces, it's not a great thing for us to be doing video reactions, unfortunately.
And also, let me tell you, for the folks on Twitter Spaces, it was a lot of weird, uncomfortable shit. And again, if you're somebody that has any sort of interest in decolonizing, like I'm literally wearing my decolonizing earring, but or is any type of land back supporter,
Yeah.
it's a big butthole clencher for me.
I mean,
Cringe.
yes.
It cringed so hard I feel like I can't walk.
And
Like this white bro is like, "Hey bro, we're gonna buy an island, a real piece of land, so that we can just talk about cryptocurrency on this island and have ocean views." Like,
first of all, are you gonna like for the amount of money that you're spending, are you gonna move to Crypto Island? Just out in feet, like you buy an NFT that gives you like a plot of land, and you're like, well, my life's over. I've gotta
Sausage
move to
Party, the
fucking
second
Fiji
movie.
now.
It looks like, I don't know, like the Scooby-Doo Island video. Like, it's just, it looks like so cheesy. And also, again, you're like, there are fucking homeless people. There are people who are underhoused or
Yeah.
struggling. And I know that can't be the center of all of our conversations, but
Uh,
just like,
yeah, no, there are people going through it.
is this an island for you to go buy more cryptocurrency?
Odnamra Noel, welcome to the space. Right now we're talking about crypto land. And we're just talking about, is it a little colonize-y to be starting a private island out in the middle of Fiji to sell cryptocurrency? Hey, it's nice that there's a place that cryptocurrency hasn't destroyed yet. Let's all go there.
Right, because if the cryptocurrency doesn't destroy it there, then I feel like there's a strong likelihood that the people that are going to attend there are going to be throwing their trash everywhere. It's going to turn into the Fire Fest.
There is a Firefest vibe in crypto land, but the thing that makes it really sad for me, and I mentioned this earlier, is that once you've invested a big chunk of your income in a room in a private island in Fiji, even under the best of, you're not going to be staying in a resort, but let's just say you've got a hut in Fiji, you've got to leave the country. Like, you've got to leave in order to make the investment make sense. Because why would you buy an NFT of a physical location and then not live there?
Or what, are you going to rent it out? Are you just going to be a land leech?
Probably. That probably is the next step of that. It's just land exploitation all the way down.
It feels like Firefest for computer nerds, and
it does feel like Firefest for computer nerds, but at least Firefest actually happened. I don't think this is going to happen at all.
Did it though? I mean, okay, my last little thing though that I want to point out, because it's just really funny, is Rome, so Unholy Rome on Twitter, just bought a fat plot of land and is starting like a community garden and this community center and doing all this mad fundraising, and its entire purpose is community building and community self-sufficiency. That's not, you know what I'm saying? And so it's such a stark contrast to this
yeah, so one group doing like community building projects and one doing like timeshare.
Is it really a timeshare though? Again, we go back to
Is it? I don't know. Do you want to debate on whether it counts as a timeshare or not?
I would actually like to allocate 35 minutes of our time to continue discussing this.
Let's not do that at all. Listen, I got a story. Americans lost $1 billion to romance scammers last year, according to the FBI. 24,000 people lost $1 billion. And so when you do the math, and I'll just spoil you, it's old people. They're just getting obliterated.
Me. So it's not like sugar daddy scams? Because I feel like I get a lot of sugar daddy offers in my Gmail, and I'm like, not my Gmail, I meant to say my DMs.
You get sugar daddy offers, but do they actually pay off? Do they happen?
Well, that's the thing. My new thing is I respond to them and I just say, if you could send me $3,000 for authentication, I'm happy to happy to continue having this conversation.
That's a high price to authenticate as a sugar daddy.
Well, if you want to be a sugar daddy to pay me to just be, then like
How much?
put
How much
your
to
money
be
where your mouth.
how much to be a Splenda daddy?
I'd probably go. I mean, if somebody really hit me with a, I want to be a Splenda daddy, I'd say okay, 1,500. You get a 50% discount.
I think that's listen, a 50% discount
Mm-hmm.
in this time when inflation is kicking in.
I know, right? It's
Real
not a
public
buyer's market,
service.
friends. It's not a buyer's market.
All right, let me do this. This is the most lucrative year for romance scammers in history, and a big chunk of it, 25% of losses from scams that were reported to the FTC last year were paid in cryptocurrency. The average individual loss was about 10 grand. And the agency said a growing number of scammers have faked victims with fake cryptocurrency investment advice.
So
We'll go. I mean, I'm almost done. Let me read a couple more facts. Though reports of romance scams increased for every age group, the increase was greatest for people ages 18 to 29. Though people in that group reported an average loss of only $750, compared to $9,000 among people aged 70 and up. The group for whom losses were greatest.
that's rough.
Gift cards were the most frequent method of payment. Crypto was 18%. Payment apps and bank transfers were 12, 13%. And wire transfers were 12. Instagram and Facebook is where this stuff gets started.
So that makes sense. Oh, my cider. I want to drink with you, Brandon. You're my favorite. Okay.
Yeah,
So-
listen, we talked before we did any of this shit, and we were like, Miller High Life. Well, at first you suggested a bunch of fucking California hipster beers that, of course, we
Not
don't
California.
carry.
I very much have a hard to disagree on the hipster beer thing, and let me tell you why.
Then what beers were these?
These, you said working class poor people beer, and in California, the only people that drink PBR are the people that are
you did suggest PBR, and that is a working class beer. Just my corner store doesn't have PBR.
And then I suggested Coors Light because of the unions.
Yeah. Coors Light would have also worked.
Shut your hipster mouth.
If we're gonna get a commoner beer that's union made, I mean, Miller High Life is the champagne of beers.
Are you drinking a Miller High Life? What about Mickey's?
That's a good question. Is Mickey's working class? I have no idea.
That's funny.
Hey, listen, I am gonna go and and this might be risky. I'm gonna go get some speakers because I want you to be loud. So, can you be entertaining for the next 90 seconds?
I think so, but I don't have any of the controls, so I can't really tell if I'm being entertaining. But sure, let's go.
Tell a story from your job.
I was
That's
just
a
gonna
2-minute
say that.
long story, and by then I'll be back.
Okay, perfect. So at one point we're gonna talk about like work and labor stories, kind of like the whole like what are some of your work horror stories or your malicious compliance or like, you know, kind of giving it to the man stories. And for me, I think one of the most prominent like just horrible work environment stories were like all of my like comrade employees were super awesome. I was working at this car wash and you know, one of those things where I was the only person on the lot that could drive a stick shift most of the time. So I'd get all these nice cars and it was great. So I had real good, like couple of clients who'd come in and specifically request me and get tips. And my manager was the son of the owner. And he was at first really nice to me. So mind you, I'm like 17 when this is happening. And so at first he was super cool and just like totally like, oh, let me know if you need any help with anything at all. If you need, you know, if you need help learning how to do this or that. And at first it was like totally work related. I feel like I need to give a content warning right now, like there is a sexual harassment coming up on this, but so at the time, my husband, no, not my husband, he was my boyfriend at the time, but my former husband, not former, oh my god. When Brandon was like, can you handle this for 2 minutes? My ADHD was like, anxiety. But so my husband had just proposed to me and was like kind of laughing about how this manager, Matt, kept starting to like offer to help me learn how to do things before or after I was on the clock. And our jokes were really more like this motherfucker thinks I'm gonna come in and learn how to bleach the fucking headlights on a car at 8 a.m. when I'm not supposed to clock in until 10 or 11:30. And so the day that my husband proposed to me, I was like super excited, and I went into work the next day and told this guy Matt, like, hey, I'm so excited. You know, I was telling everybody, like, I'm so excited, I got proposed, check out my ring, you know, whatever. And this guy's like, Matt's like, hey, I need you to come into the office. First time he's ever been like really serious with me. And he's like, I need you to come into the office and we need to have a talk. And so the thing about his office is that it was like really just an attached warehouse that had like this really dark hallway with no windows. And then you go into his office and they have windows, but they're all super fucking tinted. So you can see out, but they're like tinted and mirrored so you can't see in. And so at the time, one girl had talked about how this guy, Matt, was like kind of hitting on her. Oh no, there's a double echo. But so this guy, Matt's like kind of got a little bit of a reputation, but it hadn't really come out yet. And he brings me into this office and we're sitting down and he's like, so I really need to have a serious conversation with you. I'm like, okay, what's going on? And I'm sitting in this tiny little box. It's like fucking 80 degrees outside. It's like 90 degrees inside. And I can see all of the employees outside looking. And like a couple of my homies, like this one guy, Zach, is like going like just like shaking his head and putting his fingers across his neck like, no, don't go in there, girl. And then he's doing the like pointing his eyes and then out. So I don't know if anybody can envision this, but when you like point to your eyes, the Robert De Niro from Meet the Parents, like point to your eyes and then pointing back out, like and then he's like, I can't see you.
Do you know that Meet the Parents just had its 50th anniversary as a movie?
It is not 50 years old.
Yeah.
No, it's not. Oh, I said Meet the Parents. Wait, no, with Ben Stiller?
Yeah. It turns out it's the second oldest movie in the history of film. The Jazz Singer is number one, and then they made Meet the Parents right after that. So this is a reference where you're really dating yourself.
There's no way that Meet the Parents with Ben Stiller is 50 years old, though.
Meet the Parents was the first film ever made with audio. Every movie before Meet the Parents was a silent movie.
Well, shit. That's not true. Anyways. So anyway.
All right, so you're getting the no sign.
I'm getting the no sign. And then I finally get into his room and then, oh, right. He's like, we need to have the serious conversation. I'm just looking out the window like, what the fuck is he going to be talking about? This motherfucker goes, so you got engaged? I'm like, yeah. And I like showing you my ring. Like, look, I got engaged and he bought me this ring. And he's like, I don't want to hear about that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm not quite sure why you brought me in then. And mind you, I was 18, so I'd pop off a little bit, but I wasn't like secure with my knowledge about being in unsafe situations or like labor laws, all those types of things, or like employee rights, or just like basic fucking human interactions, I guess. And he goes, I don't even remember how he brought it up, but he ends up asking me about sex and if we're still having sex regularly and if our sex life is healthy. And at first I'm like, well, yeah, it's great. Yeah. And then I'm like, you know, kind of get some red flags, which I realized in retrospect should have gotten a lot sooner. When the oldest employee is shaking his head and doing the don't move, don't go in there thing. And so to wrap this up, he ended up asking me to draw the sexual positions that Vince and I prefer. It makes me feel gross and yucky even saying that. And so I kind of was.
Were you drawing this with stick figure? How detailed was you
I
draw?
was just gonna
What was he asking for? Was he like, just draw the sticks?
This is the funniest part. He asked me to do that, and I'm like, I don't have a piece of paper or a pen. I don't really know how you want me to do this. And then I said, I'm not a very good artist. Like that was how I thought I was gonna get out of this. And so I go, and he's like, oh, it's fine, I got a highlighter. So I've got a bright pink highlighter. And then he hands me a green highlighter, and he's like, this can be the boy. And I'm like,
what if instead of drawing it, you just had the two highlighters?
That's so funny. No, I just drew a giant dick and then added some veins.
Yeah.
Because I was 18 and I was like, I feel very uncomfortable, but here's a penis for you. And then just like got out of my chair and left and went back out. I don't know why I drew a penis in retrospect. It was just what I did. But so I go back out. And I had 3 girls come to me and say, hey, are you okay? Did he try and touch you? Did he try and grab you?
I think part of being a woman in the workplace is working out compromises to get yourself out of situations like that. So just drawing a dick was just your way of like getting out of the situation.
Yeah, I was like, I drew something for you, and I'm not very good at drawing. It's much easier to draw a penis than the middle finger, So I just started my day at the shift, or I just started my day / shift, and I had 3 different girls come to me and be like, are you okay? Did he try and touch you? And then one of them being like, he tried to touch me. Not one of them. Only one of them didn't say he tried to touch me. And I was like, really fucking alarming. And I think that was like the first time that I was like, there has to be somebody out there that doesn't want this to happen. And so this was like I had my very first smartphone, and I was like, went and took my lunch break and like typed it in and found out about labor laws and sexual harassment in the workplace. And the first girl that had asked me if I was okay and I felt safe, who had been like, he groped me and he tried to do more stuff. And thankfully, Zach, the one that was nixing me, who was the longest employee, she was like, whoa, can you see me?
You got a little bit scrambly there, but I think you're back to normal.
Okay, so Zach, she told me, and everybody knew about it, but she goes, he touched me, blah, blah, blah. So I file labor law complaints, and she was like, you can totally list me as a person on this. And so I did. I put in my notice, like I talked to Vinny afterwards, and he's like, yeah, fuck that week. You can work somewhere else, whatever. And I ended up going back to college, but I called the labor laws on them so that I put in my 2 weeks notice and was hoping that I could see like the great downfall of this guy. Cause like also he kept doing shit. Obviously the penis picture was not sufficient for him.
He was infamous by that point because everybody in your workplace is like, that's the guy that
right. Well, and all the guys that wash the cars down at the end, or like wipe them down at the end, who I used to smoke mota with, were like, oh, what happened? Are you okay? And long story short is the labor department showed up for the inspection when I was there. And the main chick besides me ended up not saying anything and saying no. And she started dating him, and they were dating and got engaged, and like all this gnarly stuff happened. I know. But wait, there's more. One last thing. This motherfucker ended up getting fired from the car wash, even though he was the owner's son, because there was too many complaints, and they found that like still all the dudes said, yeah, he's horrible with the women. He tries to touch their butts. The other thing he do is he'd get the vacuum. Like, you know how they have those like long tubes and the vacuum at the end that they like vacuum the cars out at the end.
Yeah.
He'd get those and he'd like put them on chicks' butts and on their boobs and be like, oh, oops. And then he'd just escalate it to doing those like weird things. And so like at the end of the day,
it's really amazing out in California that he could have did that with the wrong person, and just that girl could have just turned around and rocked him. Like being the boss's kid only protects you when you're the boss's kid, man.
Right. Well, so then he ends up applying for a job at my in-laws' parents' company, right? And I told them, hey, this guy is like a major sexual harasser. Like, best case scenario, he's a fucking creep.
He's a super creep. Super
Super
creep.
creep. He's super
We're
creepy.
idiots. We're idiots. Sorry, go ahead.
So, long story short, is they hired him anyways. And this was the time that we finally got some redemption because Vince saw him at work and he made some super sexist bullshit comment. And Vince just clocked him, just popped him right in the mouth, and then told his parents that, you know, he wasn't going to keep working for them if they continued to hire them. So, nepotism that worked beneficially. And they filed a report and it's like on his record. Last I checked, this does make
On
me
his
sad.
permanent record, no touching butts with the car wash supply,
You
young man.
can't touch butts. Anyway, so you asked me to do 2-minute story, so I did 20 minutes.
You did a great job. Listen. I just love that I could just go and let her rip, and I came back and your audio quality is much better now.
Okay, good. So I have to get something out of the oven for Kylie, so I'm gonna just be right
All
back
right.
for 2 minutes.
All right, no problem. Take your
Okay.
time.
Thank you.
And in fact, I can do my story.
Ooh.
It'll be more about scamming. Don't worry, you won't miss anything too juicy.
Okay, and then also to everybody listening, we love you guys and want to hear what you have to say. Okay, I'll be back.
All right, get out of here. By the way, I lied. It's gonna be super juicy. Critical quote. We've got to be wary about casting certain groups as the natural victims of scams. And this is according to Sarah Rutherford. She's the senior director of portfolio marketing at FICO. The idea of the lonely old woman struggling to use a computer to connect with the world, it can make it feel like it can never happen to them. But listen, everybody gets fucking catfished. I remember I've got a catfish story. One of my friends from Facebook when I was a kid had a year-long romance with a guy. And, you know, we were all on a forum for a message board. And a whole year later found out that this was a catfish. I just never heard. I think that part of what made this a really good scam was you've just never heard of a woman getting catfished before. Like, how often do you hear of a woman falling for a fake boyfriend? But this was 2004, 5, the olden days. And like the pics were of the guy as a goth rocker or something. Yeah, he was he wasn't even like super hot or super attractive. He was just like an emo guy who sometimes worked out. And I think what made it a really good catfish was that the shit flew under the radar. You know what I mean? It flew under the radar, and because the guy wasn't like off the wall attractive, it made it a little bit more believable, and she fell right for it. And I don't want to laugh because she was extremely distraught. She was really sad. But yeah, it's a $1 billion business. I mean, catfishing plus crypto, and I think everybody who's in the NFT space is dealing with just getting scammed. I think that's just one of the facts of life if you're in NFT world. I've got some great fucking stories, and I've got to wait for Alyssa to get back. Work story. Let me see. I've got a work story, and I'm the butt of the joke. When I got my first job, it was in food service, and it was at a Checkers, believe it or not. And this was a Checkers that was like a mile away from my house, which meant it was close enough for me to walk to the Checkers, and it was far enough that I basically always had to walk because it wasn't practical for me to, ride to this place. and I spent my first paycheck on shoes because you've got to have like hard rubber soles when you're at a Checkers. And I just slipped and bust my ass like the first night that I was there, and the manager, you know, if the manager doesn't want you to work somewhere, and this is, I mean, it's just a fact. When a manager doesn't want you, they just will cut your hours and just not call you to come in for shifts. And for me, like they would, and I think most retail places are like this, they hire too many people. They have an abundance of people on staff. And the reason why they have an abundance of people on staff is because they want the employees to fight with each other over hours. Uh, you know, if you screw up, they can just at any time give your hours to somebody else. And obviously, turnover is natural in those kind of jobs, but also in the same way that the wage being that low is there to incentivize you to, you know, be real worried and be stressed about your job and want to do more and more and more. Having all of these employees around you that are in the same role is like a little reminder that your ass is replaceable. With Alyssa taking a little while. Oh, and by the way, I didn't even last long at that job. Let me tell you, my ass, a couple of weeks at maximum. But with this taking a little while, I'm going to look at a really good story. Republicans in my state, Georgia, along with a couple of other states, maybe you've heard of defund the police. This is refund the police. Some of the politicians in these Republican states are setting up bills to go through, you know, the state legislature where cops don't have to pay state taxes. You may think that this is weird, but yeah, cops don't have to pay state taxes because police morale is down. And so they're thinking that if they just make cops exempt from income taxes, that there will be extra morale. Retirements are up 45% over the norm. Resignations are 20% above the norm. You know, so the idea is a little less tax revenue for the state. And what makes it suck is you've got to remember that these states are already pushed to the brim. They're already pushed to the maximum just by the budgets. The budgets have been really shitty, and with COVID and unemployment checks and all these, the state budgets are already stretched pretty heavily. And they're making it worse. But however, this is constituent service. And you got to remember that for Republicans, this is a reliable voter base. It's also worth remembering that all of these Republicans are going into competitive primaries. So even when you're a state like the state of Georgia and you've got all the Democrats broken in half and on the run, you still have the incentive of who's the best Republican, who's the most Republican. Hey, Tits McGee, welcome to the space. If you have a fucked up story from your job, raise your hand and we'll let you on. I'm doing a hybrid stream right now with my friend Alissa, but she's out. So I'm sharing weird news stories, and we're also talking about workplace affairs. Right now, there's a bill in the Georgia legislature that cops don't have to pay state taxes anymore. There's education and shit's already cut to the bone. So the idea that we are doing even more tax cuts and it's tax free for police is just real funny. We talked to the NAACP in Kentucky. Vice Media did anyway. You're incentivizing the good officers, sure. Which, by the way, what more incentives do they need? But also the bad officers in the system who continue to make things worse by abusing their power. The marginalized and disenfranchised communities are going to be even more in uproar because it's going to feel like the profession's getting rewarded regardless of how good or bad they are at their jobs. They've tried this a couple of times, and the stakes, at least in the state of Kentucky, are 30 mil. But when you think about what 30 mil can get you in a public school, I mean, it's a lot. It's enough to refurbish a house. Not a house. It's enough to refurbish multiple schools. It's enough to refurbish a transit station. It's enough to knock off fairs. It's a whole lot. And yeah, it just seems like a way to wash up the police vote. And it's also worth noting there are teachers who would love to not pay taxes. There are firefighters who would love to not pay taxes. It's EMSs that would love to not pay taxes. I'm not exactly sure what do the cops need with being tax exempt right now. Alissa, are you back?
Yeah, I have a lot to say.
Oh, good timing.
Yeah, sorry, my
You were
lighting.
listening to this whole story.
Yeah.
Cops,
Okay.
tax free. What do you think?
First of all, I'd just like to point out that there is no such thing, in my humble opinion, also in the humble opinion of general statistics, not really a such thing as a good cop, because any of the good cops that are there, and I, again, really want to emphasize I don't believe that there's good cops, get pushed out. Also, I hear a lot of people talking about the like bad apples, but the real phrase of that, once again, is one bad apple spoils the bunch. So first and foremost, there's that. But also, I'd like to point out that in 2021, wait, why are you smiling? Did you like that one, Brandon?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me why you smile. Beautiful.
I
So-
do like it.
So the other thing I'd like to just address is that 2021 has, in 2021, 2022 has seen the most we've seen increases in police budgets despite countless fucking protests. All y'all know about the protests, I'm sure, but in addition to that, we've seen an exorbitant amount or not exorbitant, it is exorbitant, but we've seen a lot of growth in police violence, brutality, and killings. So we're seeing an increased police budget, and we're seeing more and more the real life fucking ramifications of what the police force does to people. So, I mean, I think you brought up a really good point about increasing taxes first and foremost. Sorry, I said that wrong. I think you brought up a really good point about how many other
Public services, the
yeah,
deficit,
or just
other
different
public servants.
how many different fucking things there are. And I
It
find
seems
it
like the violence is why they're being singled out for rewards from the system. Honestly, like I feel like if the teachers were out here beating the shit out of kids, they would be like, and let's cut their taxes too.
Totally. I think also I'd like to, aside from all of those things, like, how about waiving the taxes of people who are, I mean, you could do this to community, or like, again, their budgets are fucking slim right now. There's so many other things we could be doing and providing. And this feels like one of those things that's positively reinforcing negative behaviors of the police force. And by negative, I mean that by the perception of the public. If the public's made its opinion very clear. If you're not all about defund the police, then a lot of the folks are, in general, on average, at the very least, talking about fucking, reforming them, which I'm not a big believer in. To each their own. I think there's a lot of sufficient evidence that goes to show that these aren't reformable things, but more important. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, just saying hello to Cher along with Sage. Both of y'all, welcome to the room. We're sharing weird stories from the week. One of our weird stories is just the fact that we're giving, at least in my state of Georgia, they're floating giving tax-free benefits to police officers. If you have a fucked up story from your job, we always want to hear your fucked up work stories because we just find them hilarious at all times. And it's a
Or
good
we
glimpse.
sympathize with you. We're not going to laugh at your traumatizing experiences.
Yeah, we're not going to laugh at your traumatizing experiences. It's just a good glimpse into people's lives.
Well, and I think it's super relevant right now.
Absolutely. Alyssa, you want to finish your tale that you got going on here?
I was just gonna say, I think there's so much wrong with that bill that it feels like it's so intentional. Again, first and foremost, I don't give a fucking shit if the police morale is down. The fucking community morale is down. We've lost so many folks due to police brutality, and if we haven't lost them, then there's been suffering, and so I couldn't give a shit about that. But on a fiscal, just on the fiscal side of things, that money could be so much better invested. Police budgets have already been raised. What a fucking joke.
Listen, I got another story, and maybe this is a little more positive. Co-op in Italy for prisoners to make food and fashion items. In Italy, 30% of the prisoners are in prison without charges. They are just in holding, and they are on like a pending case. In America, we've got lots of people who are in the prison system just because they are awaiting trial.
I got a story for you on that too in a minute. Don't let me forget.
Okay, well, I mean, you can tell. Well, all right, yeah. Wait, tell it after I introduce the story. 40 co-ops supplied the shop with goods produced by about 2,000 prisoners. Half of them work on day release, and you got to remember, hey, look. Even if these are prisoners, these are like Italian prisoners. So this is really highfalutin stuff. They're working on farms. They're working on wineries. They're working on workshops in different parts of town. And all of these are intended to be like high-end goods. So whether it's a biscuit, a t-shirt, something printed, a pack of coffee, or an object of design, says the shop's website, the goal is always the same: maximum quality, not maximum profit. One of the managers there says the effort behind their production is great, and I want it to be respected. I always want to tell customers the story behind the products. And then he points at a range of handbags made by women in a prison in Rome. The goal is always to show that another life is possible. And of course, the prisoners have to pay for their own detention, and even when they're in jail, and it's 120 lira a month. And I should have looked up before the show started how much that is in dollars. But there are national groups that are, interested in buying in and having a part in it. Obviously, the regular prison wages, I mean, just like in the United States, are like extortionary and are just designed to make it suck for you. So it looks like they're making more money doing something that's more high end out here.
So are they getting paid sufficiently to be doing that kind of stuff?
Real good question, but it's high end stuff and it's a co-op. So I have to assume that they're making some amount of money. But however, I'm not seeing dollar amounts in this.
Yeah,
story.
like they want it to be a feel-good story about how it's fucking.
Yeah, let me tell you. And of course, when we go and look at the website, it's going to be in freaking Italian. So it's not like they're going to have.
Use your Google Translate.
I actually am doing that.
Oh, okay.
However, I just can't. It's not like they're going to have the wage information on the first page of the thing. I can go and look at the fact. But it's all like ordering. It's like buying facts. It's not like how ethical is the prison labor here.
Right. Because, the state of, well, a lot of different states do this, but Washington women's facilities, I can't remember the specific one, but there's multiple ones. What they do is they don't pay for their uniforms. They have the women sew, make, and do all of the uniforms for the corrections officers, the police officers, and basically anybody wearing a uniform in that facility and in other facilities. and the amount they get, I don't know if it's current, but at one point the amount they got was like 76 cents an hour. And some of them don't get paid, but it's just, I'm hesitant to support that happening until I know that they're getting paid like what it would be paid to be real life.
As this article is being featured on the website Popular Resistance.
Oh, okay.
Which tends to do more lefty angles on these things.
Okay, cool. Because sometimes it's like,
I have to assume that it's at least somewhat humane in terms of the percentage that they're getting.
yeah.
But I can't say that they're putting the the dollar counts here.
Okay, well.
Listen, I got another story for you.
Okay, wait, did you? Oh, okay. I
want to
forgot
hear
mine.
actually, I want to hear your story about.
I think
prison.
I forgot it, so we'll have to come back to it.
Okay. Lawmakers say this holy city's airport code is too gay. As Indian lawmakers double down on their efforts to change a pilgrimage city's airport, LGBTQ groups say the move speaks of increasing homophobia. This is the city of Gaya. It's a city where the Buddha is believed to have attained enlightenment, and pilgrims go there. But the city's name is Gaya, so the airport code, when you go and fly in there, if you fly into Hartsfield Airport here in Atlanta, it's ATL. For them, it's GAY.
Yeah.
So the Indian people are just extremely sensitive. Like, why are we going to the airport? You're doing the pilgrimage, and you're going to the gay airport.
I love it. Makes me want to fly there just to be gay.
Joanna, hello, welcome to the space. We're doing stories from work. And for people who don't know, Joanna does a space with me most weeks, Wednesday nights. And we talk about accessibility in storytelling.
Joanna.
And as an accessibility consultant, I'm sure Joanna's got lots of weird stories from work. If you've got a work story and you're on this Twitter space, just raise your hand. We'll let you talk about the terrible experience that you're having. We're also attempting to run a hybrid. We're testing out, can we do this on YouTube too? So we're just doing all of that.
Yeah.
Gaya is in India's northeastern state of Bihar, and it has many sacred religious sites in the city. Thousands of pilgrims, Hindus go there, Buddhists go there, Jains go there. And you would think, Jains really chilled out and wouldn't care about this. But a panel wants to change the airport's code because they feel GAY is embarrassing and inappropriate. And so they want to change it to YAG, which, that sounds like YAG sounds like some kind of slur.
Or does it sound like a sexual thing you do to somebody? Hey, let's go
it
yag
sounds
in
like
the
a
bag,
mix
baby.
between a slur and a sex act. It's real crazy. However, the country's Union Civil Aviation Ministry said IATA had rejected the committee's request. Location codes are considered permanent and cannot be changed without a justification that primarily concerns air safety. And the LGBTQ activist said, the fact that the panel has asked the government to pursue this matter despite rejection shows how deeply rooted the homophobia is. And honestly, this request itself is an international embarrassment. What are we telling the world? That India is about everyone's support and everyone's development, but gay airport, oh my God, ew. India decriminalized homosexuality way back in 2018.
Oh, wow.
Look, the United States does not have much room to talk. Both of us are from a time when it was basically illegal.
I helped found the Gay Straight Alliance in my high school. That was when it was the Gay Straight Alliance. It's so funny. That was, before there was any real recognition for the fact of diversity within that community and the queer community and what have you. Which is
Um,
also why Alyssa dated a girl in high school and didn't realize she was bisexual.
yeah, can you imagine? You're running the gay straight alliance. You're dating a woman.
Oh yeah,
You're
no,
like,
full
my
on 2 year solid relationship, and it only occurred to me like probably 6 years ago that I was like, we called each other's best friends and then would mac each other's box. That's that was definitely more than that. Anyways,
Share, you're on. If you share, if you want to talk and share your work story, or if you want to
yeah,
talk about gay airport,
gay
it's your
communist
world.
space.
Share, just hop in whenever. Just unmute yourself and just talk over me.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
Good evening, friends. It is here.
Turn it up, Brandon.
You do need to adjust your mic a little bit and be a little bit louder.
Is this a little bit better?
Alyssa, does that sound better to you?
A little bit, yeah.
All right, go for it. But be nice and loud.
Yes, indeed. So this is not so because but it is absolutely
Share, your audio is not incredibly quality. I can hear that you've got 3 jobs.
Oh,
let me see. Hold on.
That was a little better.
yeah.
Yep. Okay. Great. No, I was saying, I'm actually unemployed at the moment. This is less of a story from work and more of a observation about how I lost my job 3 jobs in a row, the last jobs that I had. And they were all. I mean, I'm in an at will work to hire state. I'm in Florida.
Okay.
And I was inducted as a core employee, mind you, on the last position. And so, with no background, check, flags to speak of or anything like that, with high excellence in my background in customer service, that still did not take my job off the chopping block. 2 of those jobs decided to outsource their staff, and I happen to be a graphic designer, so 15 plus years now. 2 of those jobs decided to outsource my job.
Oof.
I was hired. I mean, I had just, and like I said, with all 3 of these jobs, I had gone all the way to, okay, you've been here long enough to be a core employee. We're giving you salary, giving you benefits.
Did they just find someone who was less expensive than you overseas?
That I would probably think that's the case. Because friends of mine that are overseas and have, jobs that are red, they let me know that they are working
And you were working, and you were in the customer service field.
correct. So I would be designing websites. I would be, without naming companies, I would be designing websites. Folks would call in every month with their allotment of time on their account and ask me to make changes on their websites, for example. Or they would request logo designs and such like this.
You were functionally speaking a virtual assistant.
Yes. And so those labor enforcement.
Right.
And
That's an expense that businesses, I mean, ultimately, labor is an expense that can't be optimized away. Somebody has to do the work that these people are getting paid for.
right, right.
And
And I
they're always looking for ways to do it cheaper and less humanely.
in my case, or cases like mine, I feel like that's even more sinister because that once that, I mean, to go so far as to set up a safety net for someone and then yank it from out of the under them, that has got to be the most sinister thing that has been happening in the workforce. I have no idea where they're getting these positive uptick numbers on, oh, unemployment is declining. We're coming out of the pandemic quickly and all of it. I don't get it because similarly, within the same week, the day after that, this happening, this is CNN and the like. Someone else also put out an article about how they've been off about the census of black
Share your audio quality is going right back down the toilet. I'm gonna, but listen, I do hear you. I'm gonna give you a minute to fiddle with your microphone or whatever. And in the meanwhile, yeah, she was just talking about being a remote worker and it just always being something, and they're always being,
Brandon, your audio shit too.
no way. It's not. I'm the only person here with a good internet connection. Maybe you're the one with bad audio.
You're that. That's
Okay.
what you are. Okay, now go ahead.
But yeah, have you been replaced or removed at your job before, or outsourced?
I've been I did once, but luckily in that position, I think it was the only real good employer I ever had because they promoted me and put me in a different position. So I have to say I don't have
Oh, that's nice.
I don't have a lot of experience with that, but like one of my best friends has been working at HSBC Bank or whatever that bank is for like 4 years, I believe it is, and she just got a notification that she was going to be laid off. They're outsourcing, and they were like, "Don't worry, we're giving you a severance package. We'll give you the details." Blah 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 blah. And they just kept putting off the details, putting off the details, putting off the details. Well, she got a severance package that was like, right. This woman's worked there for 4 years, works like more than 5 days a week, busts her ass, single mom, trying to make a mortgage payment because blah blah.
What was her severance like?
It was less than $1,000. It was like $650.
Off.
Uh-huh.
That's not even enough to get enough rope.
In like a fucking cup. Like, thanks, because I want to see your logo again.
Gamer Share, I'm gonna bring you back in a little bit, but before we do it, I'm just gonna say, just because I work with a lot of people that do the kind of administrative backbone of the internet stuff that you're talking about, and the people that run those sites, they don't want to actually do all that stuff. Just how much success did you have with like rebranding yourself or changing your rates and things like that? Because I started doing web design in college, and I just very quickly realized that just you can't compete on rates, and you've got to compete in a different way. What were your experiences like?
yes, hoping you guys can hear me okay.
Yeah, you sound a little better.
Okay. First off, it really helps to have a mentor.
Yeah.
I know that. And I was without one. And like you, I had that much trouble
She's still there? Did we lose Cher?
And all that, your concern becomes, okay, well, now my overhead is my utility bill.
Yeah.
And my internet bill and such like this. So it was a long time. It was almost, I gotta say, at least 7 years before I even figured out that I was pricing myself incorrectly. Totally wrong. So my consultancy now is like, if I can catch can. I'll get a client here or there, especially after the pandemic hit. I mean, everybody and their mother basically ditched any effort towards a market whatsoever. I don't know if you found the same, but that's what I discovered anyway.
I know it sounds ridiculous and people say this on YouTube or whatever, and you don't really believe them. But I really had my best success freelancing going as high end as I could imagine.
There you go.
Because man, I rolled my eyes whenever anybody would say this, but like you will get paid at the rates you advertise at. Like, and it really seems impossible. But like the higher that I raised my rates, the more I was able to find people that wanted to pay those rates. And some of
I believe you. That's the best advice that I needed at the start of when I decided to become a freelancer. I didn't come across it. But then I had pretty much given on to this day, I'm quite depressed. When we look about that, was just the way, like I said, for the way that we teach our young folks to anymore. We're basically to work for someone else for the rest of their life. We all know that when we watch their practice over, however, we are still teaching people that you have to bring focus full work and right skill until you can no more and that you're playing like you are digital middle class to lower class people. And those with better opportunities are are taught towards entrepreneurship in a more in a richer environment, not just financially richer, but in a more holistic environment. And that's just something that I would take advantage of currently in my freelancer life. However, my creative life is still growing. Right now, what I'm doing as a new brand now is I am actively seeking out mentors. Always, that's another part of the process that was not
networking is super important. I think that's important for freelancers, for content creators, for whoever, whatever you're doing. Like we think that like your work is just going to be good enough to do it by yourself, but really, as crazy as this sounds as advice, you need to spend as much time telling people about your work as you spend making it.
Yes, agreed. I'm in the process now of writing an autobiography so that I can share my story with other people. Because now what I do for a living, now I'm an actress and a content creator on social media.
Are you good at it?
Yes, sir. I believe so. Thank you. I'm actually leaving paid, and I'm paid working backwards as well. So those two worlds actually help in farming. So, and not that I, call it one mainstream status. I only use I don't in movies and weird web series, independent content on that advanced stage with fake news.
Uh,
And that has afforded my ability to have that flexibility to be a content creator on Twitter.
what's your geographic location, and how has your geographic location impacted your acting career?
Jacksonville, Florida, and I am 2.5 hours away from Orlando. Orlando is Central Florida in particular, as well as Southern Florida. Those are really the hotbeds of production that have come back since the pandemic. There are some, you know, aspects of the industry now that are, put in place, protections put in place for staff and talent and everything else because of the pandemic, of course. So production is definitely back in swing. However, I actually am family in New York. I have traveled to New York. So that's actually, as far away as that is, some people will say, oh, what about living? But I don't happen to have that network connection in that. I don't have many people in Atlanta that I know personally. One of my acting coaches is actually in Atlanta, on the outskirts of Atlanta. But as far as anybody else, I really don't have as much of it there.
Well, you've got me, and I'm plenty well networked in Atlanta, so that's good to see. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if you ever care to check out my channel on Twitch, I'm at here on Twitch.
All right. Listen, I love to see that. I actually have an Orlando story that I want to share. So, listen, I hate to do this to you. It's a Florida man story, but a Jerry Springer style brawl broke out at Disney World between a pair of drunken sisters, culminating in the duo tussling in the bushes after one slipped on the other's vomit. According to the Disney blog WDWNT, drunk guests take clothes off and brawl. The two sisters are tourists from Jersey, so technically this isn't a Florida man story. You don't have to really claim just every tourist, but they got drunk at Disney Springs, and they were going to go back to their hotel. Their phone died, so they're both embarrassed because they're stranded. The Disney security guard calls an Uber. The Uber driver doesn't want to pick them up because they're so sloshed. So the security guard calls a taxi, and they start fighting while they're waiting for the taxi. They're screaming and crying near Cirque du Soleil. And, one slaps the other in the face, and they're punching and slapping and all this other shit. The manager pulls the two of them apart, and one of them throws up and the other one falls in it. Both of them get arrested for domestic violence, battery, intoxication. Yeah, well, here's the thing. Neither of them press charges. Yeah, exactly. And it must be some kind of relationship for the two of you to go to Disneyland together and get drunk.
That is not, you can go to so many other, like a million places. One, you go to the House of Mouse.
These sisters, by the way, 29 and 31. These were two grown ass women getting into it.
Well, listen, I'm from the tri-state area up there.
Okay, now this has got a different wrinkle now.
I can say this with confidence. Sometimes you can take the chick out of Jersey.
Oh my God.
I can definitely see that have happened in like a bar up in Jersey as well.
That is a great twist to this story. You know, I was worried about slandering Florida, and this one curved around like a bullet from Wanted and just hit you. It's, you know, Jersey catching strays.
Yeah, I'm from the Bronx up in New York.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, you don't care about these two Jersey girls being sloppy then.
No, not at all. But I'll tell you what, you know, you had asked about my location. I mean, Jacksonville, Florida is not in the mainstream when it comes to mainstream production.
When it comes to anything, I've been to Jacksonville. It's a one horse town. They have like one block of skyscrapers, and it's like, this must be downtown. There's a tall building here.
I will say for those who want nightlife, that's not what this is for. First of all, I mean, there's a whole thing we have to do another space, open up another space for that. Because real estate would be the topic of that space. But the downtown of Jacksonville just is not developed nearly enough. However, when it comes to film production, indie films and indie productions are quite rampant. So I have a pride being here, and my friends that I love here, you know, I mean, it's not a brag, but I mean, just to let you know, it's a partnership here that credits of got because I, you know, being originally from New York, you know, they look at you a certain way if you're doesn't come as kind of you know, from, you know, these well-known agencies, talent agencies up there. My agent is actually from down here down south. It's fine. You know, but in any case, you know, booking work for acting is qualitative in and of itself. So if I get a no in acting, oh, I don't mind. Like, my default position is a no. And then, you know, I thank the heavens if I get something and I actually book. But when it comes to jobs that, you know, corporate jobs that you go in thinking, all right, I've got this. I've got the credentials. I've earned and achieved, you know, certain things for my last jobs that I went above and beyond. You know what I mean? There's certain things that are quantitative that check off boxes that you think are checked off, but in actuality, you know, some employers still find a way around those, and that's what I think totally burned me out from working corporate. Yep. So that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, I would have hopped in with more optimal timing, but just Twitter is just an imperfect vessel, and it can sometimes get cloggy when you're about to like adjust the setting or anything. Listen, do you have any good acting stories? You don't need to tell them tonight, but just, do you have them?
When it comes to working
Either just memorable stories from the world of acting in film or TV or commercials.
Sure, I'll go to my story from when I was performing at the Florida Theater. The Florida Theater is quite historic, actually, is what I found out. Just as historic as the Apollo Theater is up in Harlem, that's the Florida Theater down here. And I mean, even to this day, there are some like high level, like A-lister acts that roll through the Florida Theater. And I performed in a play called Chalk by a playwright known as Alissa. He's well known down here as an activist in the community through his work. And there were busloads of kids that were bussed in to attend the show that we did. And those lights are so bright, of course, when you're on stage, you can't really see the audience, but to hear some of the immediate feedback from the kids, because it was a story based around, how parents can sometimes steer their kid in a negative direction, and peer pressure. There were all sorts of, themes tied together, and having those kids react to us on stage, it was the most exhilarating thing I could have ever felt. And to be on a historic stage and knowing that the majority of those kids that were bussed in were of color.
Yeah.
It was really fulfilling for me to know that those kids had that experience, had a theater experience that I was a part of, and that I was able to positively affect them. We had gotten shout out to my director, Barbara Policello. She's quite the activist here in Jacksonville, and she's a Caucasian ally, and she, was telling us that they wanted us to do an encore, and we ended up doing an encore week of performances because the feedback from the schools was just amazing, phenomenal. That whole experience it drove me more as an actress to say, you know what, if these kids have this experience this young, to see that, acting can affect change, affect their mindset, give them, the interest to put, their creative ideas and desires out there and, have a creative life that, not only fulfills them, but pays them, all of that. That's my main mantra, actually, going forward.
Sure. When we started this, we were definitely looking for messy and scandalous stories, but I'm glad that you've got an uplifting story from your job that made you feel good about doing it. I literally, we may need to invite you back later to just talk about acting.
Let's do another show.
Yeah, that's a fun thing to do.
Yeah, add us in. Oh.
Yeah, no, I love that. So listen, we're gonna wrap this space because we've been doing it for an hour and a half, and we've just had tons of positivity, and that's about how long we wanted to run this. So, but however, we may be back at this week next time, but we will definitely be here Wednesday at around 6. We talk about fiction and storytelling and stuff like that. Joanna is one of the regulars, and Alyssa
Yeah.
is also a regular. So we'll be doing that space on Wednesday night, and we
Totally.
might do this one again.
We
who knows?
will. We will.
Joanna, that looked like a wave and not a hand raise. So hopefully you're waving goodbye because that's what we're
But-
doing.
Well, no. If Joanna wants to talk, we want to talk to Joanna, Brandon.
Well, Joanna, I think Joanna's leaving because Joanna waved and we're signing out. So,
if she waved and she wants to talk, then it's her time to talk.
All right, Joanna, do
Time.
you want to talk?
I'd love to hear from her because there's a couple things I'd like to talk to her about, and I don't really care.
All
about
right,
the
well,
timeline.
Joanna, I don't know. All right, I see a request.
Yeah,
I've now
there
requested.
it is.
All right, Joanna, talk. And it's Twitter Spaces, so it takes a second.
That's okay, because one of the things I wanted to talk to her about was accessibility and how she feels about like the Twitter Spaces and their captions and stuff. But
All
I'm
right.
just talking because I'm waiting for her to be able to talk.
All right.
She's way
well,
more important.
Joanna seems like about ready. So, Joanna, what's up?
Can you all hear me now?
Yeah, you sound
Yay!
good.
Oh my God, why are you like this?
Great question. I ask that all the time.
Wait, did she say why am I doing this?
At the moment.
Yeah, that's normal. If you're tipsy, you're in the right place.
Woo, me too. That makes 3 of us.
Wanted to chime in just because I've been here, listening to everything. Go ahead.
Oh, I just said I'm tipsy too as I interrupted you. I'm so sorry. Oh God, I'm the worst.
Joanna, anything on your mind tonight?
Sorry, I think I'm having technical difficulties. And I don't know if my stuff.
You're on. You sound good. Go for it.
Yeah. I saw y'all mention me talking about world building and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Any interesting events from that world?
Right now I'm working on a project called Frog Song, where it's a fun little game. That we have some stuff coming out soon. It's about being a small frog in a big world.
I love it.
I have a whole lot of things that I really want to talk about, but I can't because of NDA.
I knew that there was an NDA involved, and I'll tell you why. Because all you did was give the hook, and you gave no story details. And I typically know you to be you would have started talking about thorough lines or something. Instead, I'm imagining you in a boardroom, just like with just the word frogs written in chalk. And then just money being thrown at you. Is there anything at all you can give us aside from the word frogs written on the chalkboard?
I really love my job because I work for myself, but the problem is that like 99% of the work that I'm doing is
No, listen, I get it. Don't get busted.
Yeah, no.
Can we talk about Twitter? How accessible is Twitter and Twitter Spaces? Is this like a brave new world for you as a creative, or do you feel like it has a lot of improvement to do, or is it somewhere in between?
I actually do have a lot of creativity. Like I am lucky enough with my job that basically I can literally do whatever I want, and usually I don't have to answer to anybody about it, and that is the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, I love that.
What got you into it?
Awesome.
You listen, grade Twitter. Tell us, is Twitter a good accessible space?
It is the least accessible space in the world.
Alissa, I think that's your answer.
Did she say the least accessible place in the
You're
world?
muted, Alissa.
No, you muted me.
I was saying Twitter is the least accessible space in the world.
Yeah, I hear you, Joanna. All right, listen. Feel free to come back. We're gonna resume later on. This has been great, and I hope to hang out with all of y'all. Definitely Wednesday and maybe next Sunday at midnight.
Or earlier.
We'll see. Sunday's looking not too bad.
Yeah, we can do earlier next Sunday.
All right. Well, thanks everybody.
Thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you.
Share, thank you. And definitely I'll give you another plug before you leave. At GamerShare, feel free to follow, and at Joanna Blackheart, HART.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
I followed both
Because
of
who
y'all.
knows
So
what we'll
follow
do
me
with
back.
these archives. We might try to find one or two good clips from each of these shows in the future. So it's good to get the plugs in. Thanks everybody for listening, and we'll talk to you again after a while. Bye.
Bye. Mwah. Oh, I thought you were
All
gonna.
right, that's enough of that. Let me tell you.